said this numerous times on stream to the point where I thought it was like kind of the consensus, because I had a lot of people in my chat like agreeing with me, but I just saw like the creator of Goomba Got Back, TheLonelyGoomba, he was making a tweet. He was telling people that like, oh man, I'm so disappointed in Mario Kart World. It's not as good as 8. And I'm just sitting here thinking that like, hey, I saw your tweets leading up to that statement. I saw you like pulling all these stunts. I saw how enthusiastic you were about it. You liked the game. Okay, like let's be real here. Like TheLonelyGoomba loves Mario Kart World, but he's such a miserable, lonely person, such an individual who can't even like jack off because he has no arms, right? Because he's a Goomba, right? TheLonelyGoomba is so lonely and so miserable that he can't even find joy in a product that he legitimately loves. Even that can't bring him out of the crippling depression and loneliness that like being stuck between those two pipes has caused him. Nothing could possibly relieve him of this suffering than the sweet release of death. That's just like my take on it. Like for a lot of these Nintendo YouTubers, right? You see this a lot where these people like don't really have any other hobbies. They don't do anything else. They don't have careers. They don't have jobs. They don't have like interests, friends, anything else going on in their lives. All they can do is just complain about Nintendo games. And that's my thing about World. Because, I kind of went through this like arc too where I'm kind of playing Mario Kart World and I'm just like, I'm not sure if this is good as 8. And eventually I moved past that. But, like, even when I was still, like, kind of wondering about this, like, I do think this does need to be said. Like, even if it wasn't as good as 8, World is, like, an objectively good game. Everyone's having a good time with it. Everyone's enjoying it. Like, even if it's not as good, it's still clearly like a good game that's well worth your time and money. That's the reality of Mario Kart World. Like I had this like situation with like Echoes of Wisdom last year, right? Where I think of it as being one of the weakest Zeldas I've played in like years, since like, Four Swords, Adventures, and like Minish Cap and like stuff like that. Like I think Echoes of Wisdom isn't on the same level of quality as like Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like nowhere close. But it's still a really good game, one that I really enjoyed. Like, I love the creativity and, like, everything they put into it, right? Echoes of Wisdom is a great game, just not on the par of, like, most other Zeldas, right? So with Mario Kart World, like, I do think there was room to, like, kind of be skeptical about, like, some of the things they were doing with this, with, like, the track design, with, like, with the world, with, like, the changes they've made. But, like, I do think that like it's been long enough now, that we have that people have been playing it for the past couple of days that like, yeah, this is better than Mario Kart 8. I do think that is a definite fact at this point, considering like how addictive the online mode is, how good the tracks are. There are no bad tracks in Mario Kart World, because of like how much there is to do in like the map, like the open world. Like Mario Kart World looks better. It's just gorgeous. It has all these hype moments to it. Like every Grand Prix, it's like it's visually stunning. Like World is like a clear upgrade of 8 in a lot of ways. But like it's one of those things, isn't it? Where like 8 has been put on such a pedestal by like some people in the community that like they can't really move past it. They can't really acknowledge that 8 has been bested by Mario Kart World. And like there definitely is like some value in appreciating 8 and what it's done for the brand. This is like one of the best-selling games of all time now. It was the best-selling game on the Wii U. It was a huge deal on like Nintendo Switch when it was ported over. It kind of proved, I think, that like it's not really possible for Nintendo games to fail anymore, considering like how this thing was like ported over with like some new content and went on to be like the best-selling game ever, right? Like again, like 8 is like a really important like iconic game, I think, because I kind of see that as the turning point in which the gaming community had like faced the music and acknowledged Nintendo games as just being better than the competition, right? There was simply like no downplaying 8. You know, everybody tried really hard back when it first came out. People forget this, but like 8 was like very polarizing when it came out. Like people hated the character select screen and the battle mode, and like they're doing the same thing they're doing now with World, actually. So 8 was this really demonized game for like failing to save the Wii U. And now, all these years later, you have a lot of the same people coming out and trying to like weaponize this game to try and downplay Mario Kart World, right? That's kind of what we're seeing now. Like not only with the Lonely Goomba, but with like everybody like him, you know? Like we're in an entire gaming YouTube community filled with like Goombas stuck between two pipes who can't advance their lives or careers, and so have to like exist perpetually in this state of nostalgia. You know, they can't enjoy things as they come out, right? They can't appreciate things for what they are. They have to like worship the past because at their core they have nothing else. Yeah, that's kind of my mindset on this, like watching this play out and like seeing so many people who are clearly enjoying Mario Kart World like try and like make things up about it and try to make all these wild statements about it, and it's just been a trip. And it's going to be really interesting seeing in the next like in the next couple of years as the narrative like slowly starts to fall apart. We've seen this happen with like games like Tears of the Kingdom and Fire Emblem Engage already, but like Mario Kart World is such a big iconic game. Like I do think it's really not even going to survive the year. Okay. Like I could see like, you know, the game journalists like throwing all their weight behind like something else for like game of the year. That thing is going to win. And then like everybody like immediately is just going to forget about that game like next year, and then suddenly like Mario Kart World is going to be seen as this, you know, Switch 2 defining classic. That's how it's going to play out. You know, that's how it always plays out, really, because you can't downplay Mario Kart's enduring success and popularity. You can't complain about the track design or complain about how there's nothing to do in the open world or how like there is no innovation, because first of all, none of that's true. But second of all, it's like so many people like are so fired up about this game and like are playing it near constantly and enjoy it. Like, you know, your superficial complaints aren't really going to resonate with anyone. Like, who cares if it's better than 8? You know, like people will go back and play 8 if they want to play 8. You know, what they really wanted was something fresh, new, and exciting. And Mario Kart World delivered on that in spades. And I do think that we as a community really do need to speak out against these kind of people who just incessantly complain about Nintendo games forever, you know, and they will keep doing it forever. It has nothing to do with the quality of the games or the quality of the hardware or the price point. Like all of that is just a gigantic cope. You know, the reality is these people are perpetually miserable bums and should be called out on their nonsense.